in so many different ways. We all have had opportunities to come to Prashantilayam or come to Dharmakshetra and do his seva. We will never understand the significance. Only Swami knows. One of my uncles, who was also a former student, he once told me, he said, he had a sense of what it means to be Swami's devotee. He said that once he had gone to Shirdi, and there in Shirdi near the Dwarkamai, he saw that there is an old person who was quite blind, and everybody was making a beeline to go visit him. Now, my uncle was curious, who is this person? And then when he went up and inquired, he found out that this was a person who was a grandson of, I think, Abdul Baba. He used to then guard Swami's residence. He was just a stripling, he would have seen Swami as a child of 2 or 3 years old. The only claim to fame he perhaps had was that Swami had once seated him in his own lap. Shirdi Baba had seated him in his own lap. That was the only claim to fame he had. And that was enough for the rest of his life. After Shirdi Baba's passing, the devotees who came there, they regarded him as a representative of Baba. They would go touch his feet, saying that, oh, you have seen Shirdi Baba. Oh, you have spoken to him. Perhaps only once in his lifetime. That was enough. And he said that is a privilege that Swami has given each one of us. People, generations down the line, they will remember, they will ask, oh, you are somebody who has seen Swami? Even now there are students who come to Prashantilayam, they have never even seen Swami at all, physically. And they ask, brother, tell us about your stories. What happened? How was Swami? How was his voice? What was it like to feel his robe? What was it like when he would speak to you? Let me tell you, the one thing I miss most at the physical level is listening to Swami's voice. Every now and then, suddenly that is what I remember. I don't know for what reason. I don't remember his physical frame, not the robes, nothing, just that voice, somewhere. And somewhere it comes to my mind and I start weeping, thinking, oh, somehow I miss that, the voice, listening to Swami's voice. It was so melodious, so very sweet. Even when he would scold me. See, my mother tongue is Kannada, and he had enough occasions to scold me because that was how I was. And even then, out of his compassion, he would make sure that when he's scolding me, he would scold me in Kannada. And he would smile and scold, so the rest around don't know what is going on. It is such a sweet relationship. Every little way. As I relate this, it reminds me that how we used to take that connection that we had with Swami so very for granted. One time, one of my roommates, this was after I had joined as staff, one of my roommates, he fell sick. 3 days, we took him to the doctor, general hospital, super specialty hospital. Nothing was happening, and we decided we'll go to Swami's residence. So, very casual, morning we decided, afternoon we went to Swami's residence, and we sent a letter to Swami from Yajur Mandir that our roommate is sick, what do we need to do? That's all, very casual. And Swami sent instructions as to what course of treatment this roommate of mine should undergo. I look back, now more mature, I can appreciate corporate structure. And when I look at Swami as the CEO of this entire organization, this is an organization spread over several countries. He is the CEO of that. And here we were, some small employees at a very junior level. We go to his residence, knock on his door and say, Swami, one of your employees is not well. What should we do? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine doing this in any of your companies? Going up to the CEO and talking about the health of a low-level employee. But it didn't strike us that, it was something very different than what we were doing. But because that was the kind of love, that was the kind of connection that we thought nothing was amiss about it. How do you maintain this connection? Very, very beautiful, very precious connection that somehow has fallen like that into our laps. This morning, I was just thinking about this as to how would we do it. And I had gone to Juhu Beach this morning, and I was just walking, across the sea, along the sea rather. And I noticed, these small little children who were there playing on the beach, very excited. And they were building these small, small castles. And just then it occurred to me that, these children, they have their own special way of making friendships with each other. If you noticed, see, they'll come to the beach, they'll see the other children, and their parents will say, go make friends. Right? And how do they do it? It's very interesting to watch. So there'll be this one kid making the castle, and this other kid will go start watching that kid and start building a little castle. Keep looking at, and after some time, the first kid is looking at the other castle. Now they're beginning to exchange glances, and after a while, a collaboration starts. So this castle to that castle, slowly, they build a fortress wall, and before you know it, there is a nice little structure over there. I've seen other kids do another thing, so there'll be that one child which is picking pebbles from the sea. So they'll go next to that child, just a few meters away. They'll also start doing exactly the same thing. If that child is picking a pebble, pick a pebble, watch. Again, pick the pebble, watch. In this way, slowly that bond grows, and the two are friends within minutes. And I see that these children are really teaching us that little secret, how to maintain that connection. All we need to do is to keep watching Bhagwan. What does he like to do? If he is building a castle, we build our castle. If he is picking pebbles, we also need to pick pebbles. And we look at Bhagwan's life very, very clear. What is it that he wants to do? He is open to each one of us. He says, I have given you the royal path, the red carpet. Walk on it. It's called the path of seva. If you cannot meditate, no other sadhana you can do. Definitely do this. There are some, like the Advaitic wisdom, just like that. They read it and they absorb it. Some of us just can't. We can't make any headway into it. Then Swami says, why worry? I remember this beautiful interaction that one of the Hyderabad youth he had with Swami. He asked Swami, how do I meditate? Swami said, that's not for you guys. Very clear. I still remember Ajit Popat sir, he would talk about meditation, the art of meditation in Kulwantal. And Swami would actually make fun of it. He would say, you sit with that japmala and all it is London, Dubai, London, Dubai, London, Dubai. That's how your meditation goes. And that's how it is for each one of us. Swami said, for you all, for you youth, when your mind, it's always running this way, that way, you can't focus it. Don't fight that mind. Go and put yourself in the path of seva. And very soon, all those benefits, they will automatically come to you. The royal road, royal path. Namasmarana. Very, very simple ways in which Swami says, and it's not, these are things that, it's not that he has not done. Swami used to say that I am like a drill teacher. And drill teacher is not like, maths teacher, he will tell some theorems, go away. The accounts teacher will show, so this is how you balance your books, go away. So the drill teacher is that only one person who in front of you will demonstrate live what has to be done. And Swami would show, see, he says put your hands up, his hands will be up. He'll say put to the side, his hands are also to the side. He will demonstrate that path. Namasmarana is so many bhajans. Swami is singing in which the word Sai itself is there. He has shown the way. He sings bhajans. Seva, so many photos where Swami himself is bending and serving devotees. In each case, there is not one path which he himself has not shown the way. This is the very, very, very beautiful way in which we do what he has shown himself doing. That is all we need to do. You see, that is that wonderful connection, the most precious treasure that we all carry with each one of us. I look back, I have been very fortunate that the around 1 decade that I spent in his physical presence, many opportunities like this that Swami showed his divinity, he showered his love, he showed me the path of faith, how faith, with that solid bedrock of faith, how it is like a lifelong investment. It stays with you no matter what happens. And with all this gratitude to Bhagwan for all those numerous experiences in which he spoke to me and I got Pad Namaskar and all the opportunities, there is but that one experience which I treasure a lot. And in this experience, neither did Swami look at me, neither did I touch Swami in any way, nor did we exchange any words. This was a time when I was in the Vedam group, and at that time Swami used to, suddenly he would call for a red golf cart and he would go around Prashanti Nilayam and sometimes outside too. And Swami would tell, Vedam group, you come as security. Now, what security can you offer to that very Lord who is protecting you? But anyway, he gave us the illusion that we are going to protect him. And we would, form like a circle around Swami. And as he would go, we would jog beside him. And that day, something very different happened. Swami went to the very end of, the west end of Prashanti Nilayam. There's a small little gate over there. Swami asked for the gate to be opened. And then Swami went out of that gate in that small golf cart. And the gates were immediately closed. So in that open space, I still remember that blue skies above, and nobody on that side of the gate knew that Swami was coming. Absolutely isolated from the rest of the world were Swami and maybe 5-6 of us. Nobody else. Deathly silence. And we were going there. Swami was looking straight ahead. And that day, it was my luck that I was jogging right beside Swami. We were just maybe a few centimeters away. And I treasure that moment always, because at that moment, there were no words exchanged between us. I didn't even look at Swami, nor did Swami was looking straight ahead. But at that feeling of kinship, in that silence, in that isolation, that feeling of kinship that Swami granted, in that silence, that will always stay with me. That I treasure among all those interactions which I had with the Lord. This is the one I treasure the most, because I know that Bhagwan was showing that I will always be with you in silence or in speech, whether I am physically there with you when you can see me, or even when I am not there, I am still there with you. This is a beautiful lesson, in fact, for each one of us, a treasure. I cannot put it in any other words.